Do you believe ordinary citizens should police their own neighborhoods to fight crime and injustice? Peter Tangen has been a celebrity photographer for 20 years. He worked on the movie Batman Begins, as well as several Disney projects and a whole lot more. Peter has always been fascinated with superheroes, and in 2009, the fantasy became a real-life story when he read about people dressing up as superheroes, but with a personal mission to make the world a better place. What emerged from these loose affiliations was real-life superheroes, a group of people from all walks of life, classes, and cultural backgrounds coming together to help citizens in trouble. Pete has become the unofficial spokesman and is the biggest fan of real-life superheroes. He knows that real-life superheroes has just begun, that each of us can really make a difference. Peter Tangen, it's a privilege to welcome you to the Global Freedom Report.
Thank you very much, Brent. It's very nice to talk to you today. I'm very happy to be here with you.
And it's a pleasure to have you. Now, I'd like to introduce our co-guest. Some missions we choose, others choose us. For DC Guardian, that call came at an early age. Growing up at the knees of World War II, Korean War, and Vietnam veterans, he learned that the freedoms and advantages that Americans take for granted come at a price. If we forget that price, then we are bound to lose all the liberties that come with it. Clad in a striking uniform of red, white, and blue, an international nod to another childhood influence, Captain America, D.C. patrols the metro area of Washington, dispensing pocket copies of the U.S. Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence as a reminder of that for which we stand as a nation. D.C. Guardian, it is my sincere pleasure to welcome you here to the Global Freedom Report.
Well, thank you. It's a big pleasure of mine to be able to come on and talk to you. I very much appreciate that.
I hardly know where to begin. I feel like a kid in a candy shop. I grew up on Silver Age DC Comics, the 1950s and 1960s, Superman, Action, Batman, Justice League. I'm excited to be speaking with two real-life superheroes. Peter, I'm sure you've been asked this before, but did your work on Batman Begins have any influence on your becoming involved with real-life superheroes?
Absolutely. I've photographed for all of the Spider-Man movies and Hellboy and many others in this genre. And I just always loved what these people represented as fictional characters. And when I discovered that there are actually real people that are living with this tale of morality and expressing it in their personal lives, I just knew I had to meet them.
That's fantastic. DC, when I saw your name, DC Guardian, my first thought was a reflection of DC Comics. Now I see you are located in the District of Columbia region. In many ways and for many reasons, this is a very dangerous place to be. Considering the inherent dangers of dressing up in costume and fighting injustice, why did you select D.C. as your territory?
Well, if I can expand a little bit on that to begin with, D.C. does not necessarily stand for Washington, D.C. My other job actually has me travel across this country. But Washington, D.C. is my base of operations. And if you cannot keep your community tightened up, how can you protect your house or even your country? So we have to start somewhere, and I might as well start in my own neighborhood.
Do you find, though, because, as I said before, the district, for various reasons, is a dangerous place to be, do you find any special challenges that arise from that particular area of the country?
Oh, absolutely. The District of Columbia has, for the lack of a better way to put it, a lot more intense crime because everything is much more congested. And if you talk on an international basis, you have non-U.S. citizens coming and going on a daily basis. That brings in crime of almost unprecedented levels. You have MS-13 in some areas of the country, to include Washington, D.C. You have everything from identity theft to spies from other nations. Crime is rampant, and dressed as DC's Guardian, it presents its own challenges with FBI, Secret Service, local law enforcement. So, yes, there's a myriad of issues I have to deal with the moment I step outside of my door.
And I take it you've been able to deal with them because you're here and you continue to do this.
Well, I try to work very closely with law enforcement. You know, disregard the politics involved. There's a lot of good people out there trying to do a great job. And if I cannot play by the rules, DC would not be who DC is.
My guests are Peter Tangen and DC Guardian, real-life superheroes. By the way, you may have heard of them. They just had an article run on them by MSNBC, and MSNBC ran this article, and their website crashed due to the response. This just happened. I take it you guys must have heard about that.
We were very aware of it happening when the website crashed yesterday. There was a flood of people coming to check out the website I put together. And actually, for those that are listening in, if they want to see what DC looks like or any of the other people that we may talk about, they can go to reallifesuperheroes.com and check in on it.
Peter, what happened in 2009? You read about some costume people seeking to make the world a better place, and then what?
Yeah.
How did real-life superheroes come to exist?
I discovered that this community existed, and I did a bunch of research, and I came away with an idea. I feel like the problems of our world will never truly be solved until people realize that one person can make a difference. And I feel like these individuals are living that. They are making a difference, one person at a time. There's several hundred people around the world that are doing this work, and once I realized that they were a perfect vehicle for expressing that and bringing it to the public's awareness, I decided I had to go forward with this project.
But how did you even realize it? How did you don't exactly pick up the yellow pages and see, okay, where's the nearest superhero? How did you even learn these people were out there?
Well, first I read about one man in particular, but it indicated that there were many others like him, and there is sort of a yellow pages. A lot of these guys had at the time MySpace pages, and I found a directory online that showed me where their MySpace pages were, and I just began writing to them. I ended up going into Vancouver and photographing an incredible man who goes by the name of Thanatos, and after my experience with him, I knew I was onto something, and he's a very well-respected member of the community and became an advocate for my project, which really opened up the doors, and people began replying to my email inquiries through MySpace. Now,
I know Real Life Superheroes is a website, but is it a formal organization? Is it a loose affiliation? Do the heroes become members? What exactly is it?
Well, it began basically as a personal project, as a photographer. What I did was I collaborated with many of the most creative people in Hollywood that I work with when making movie posters for actual films. And we've done Hollywood-quality movie posters of each of the people that has been photographed for this project. We're not like the official website of this community. We are simply putting out these profiles of these individuals as a way of trying to express an idea. And the idea, again, is that one person can make a difference.
And is it like a central repository, though? For example, if I go to the website, can I find out where there are superheroes in the country?
Well, all of the superheroes we've profiled so far have tags on their profiles, which means you can type in New York or Brooklyn or Seattle or Los Angeles or San Diego or elsewhere and find where superheroes are. My website is .com. The .org website also exists, which is probably the most active and largest resource of information about this community, and they've got some wiki on there that will indicate where people are all over the country and, in fact, all over the world.
And if I could break in at this moment.
Of course.
The community at large is not necessarily organized, but through the medium of the Internet, we have been able to contact each other. Excuse me?
No, go on. Continue.
We have been able to contact each other, and like we talk about within the community, we all bring something to the table, and that has allowed us to share information, share knowledge and experience, which allows somebody in the middle of Ohio or even England the opportunity to learn from some mistakes of people that have gone before. We have found out that being an individual doesn't mean you're all alone. We all fight different battles, but we're all fighting the same war. We just have to do it differently. Like myself in Washington, D.C., I cannot fight in the same battle that a Z up in New York would have to fight and vice versa. The Internet allows us to talk to each other, but there is no formal community. It's a large number of people who have similar ideas and goals that share information in the best way possible.
Is there any kind of shared mission or mission statement, if you will? Are there any, I don't know how else to refer them, any group objectives that you all hold in common?
Well, one of the things that myself and Pete, you can address this too, but one of the things that I found out is we all have different ways of fighting our own community, but we come to find out that we all have the same goals in mind to, get our communities a little bit safer, which in turn is going to help the bigger picture. Crimson Fist had a wonderful line. He's just trying to help the world learn how to help save itself. We all come to the table trying to help out our neighborhoods, but we all do something different to help make that happen. So I guess the common goal would be to help stop apathy. We're trying to get the communities at large involved, and being dressed in costume helps bring a little bit bigger spotlight on the issues we find around, because as normal human beings, we walk past something so often, we often forget that it's there after a while. Well, watching DC walk down the street, your head's naturally going to turn to see what's going on, and it helps me bring a spotlight to whatever concerns I'm there for.
Peter, did you want to chime in on the question of common objectives?
Well, what I would say is really common with this group of people is their principles. They all basically realize that one person can make a difference, and they all subscribe to the idea that they should be doing things that are accepted in society, and that they're really just using an interesting method of doing things. The reality is that there's worldwide attention on this community right now, and that wouldn't be there if not for the method they use, which is as costumed activists. There are countless people working in soup kitchens and doing a variety of other things that are not being paid attention to by the media. And so this method they've chosen has actually created an opportunity for the people for people around the world to actually witness what it is that they're all about, and therefore take notice and maybe find a hero within themselves.
DC, I understand you look to help people in trouble. Do you fight crime if you encounter it? If you see a burglary in process, what do?
Well, like any citizen should, 911 can be your best friend. If confronted with a situation, I would do what I understand the laws to be, but I also would do what I know how to do and would be willing to stand up in front of anyone to defend.
Well, now, it's unfortunately the police, by the time they get anywhere, the crime has already been committed. So calling the police generally does not help prevent crime. It's only how to address it after the fact. If you actually...
Oh, I'm sorry, but I just wanted to jump in there. True. That the 911 calls usually are an after-the-fact thing, but going through the domino effect, it does open up the communication for a tracking of events.
But what I mean is that if you're on patrol and you actually see, I don't know, let's say there's a woman walking down the street and you see a guy run up to her and grab her handbag, and this is some little old lady and the guy's running with her handbag. Do you chase him down?
Oh, absolutely. I would do that in or out of my uniform. And, we need to start getting people to take responsibility of events that they encounter. And that's one thing we try to help get across is it's okay to be the good citizen again. It's not a matter of recording this video for YouTube. It's stopping the crime that is being perpetrated on an innocent person.
Now, the cynic in me, the political cynic in me, can't help but wonder if you've ever gotten in trouble for helping somebody to not get robbed or anything like that. Who are you? You don't have a badge. What are you doing?